So let's get into everything we talked about in the Discord. So we're going to start at that SPY 15-minute, rather ES. And we had the GP outlook here for the magnet down under yesterday's lows. So right here, this guy was left open on the 15-minute chart. It's on SPY, obviously. It's on everything else. And this is what we had seen. So we had a pretty good opportunity to fib out right at low a day, which is good. 1618, back test the 100, continues to the 2618, pressure leaked, had to come back down, scam shied the 100. So that was the big point of our trade here this morning. So after this fib was created, we came down and it started popping. So we took our first short into this huge candle right here, 50% retracement right there, hitting resistance and getting closed under the 1618 to come down for the 100 and the GP. So after that 15-minute that we explained in the chat had ran out, go to the 1-minute chart. And this is what we're dealing with for the aftermath. We have a impulse move right here of a triple 1-minute no tag GP. And we fibbed out this guy right here from the bottom. And we said, look for another 100 back test to go long. Or we're just going to chop here. And we'll go to, where's the other 1 minute? There it is, right here. So what we got is another triple 1 minute from the bottom. Range to the 1618, but didn't quite hit. Now, remember, when you zoom into these ES points of interest here, when it comes down within a quarter of a tick, it's kind of it's a hit, right? Because a whole tick is the movement, right? 25, 50, 75 whole number. That's 25 cents a tick. So the top of this and then the bottom of the candle, 7:22 a.m. Central, that's like, you know, 0.4 away from each other. So technically from a tick point of view, that is a fill. We talk about that a lot. So we are looking at the pop from there. And if we look to our upper left here, these were the last couple GPs in a row. And this was the shy that we put on the opposite way. So I'm going to take this triple because this is the one we had on to the downside. And that's how we got our downside metric earlier into the 15 because we had this as well. So that 15-minute that we had called for the downside that we just went over back here. The absolute bottom was the GP. How did we come back to think that? This right here, high-low, scam shy GP, broke out, and right to the 2618. That is extra confluence, fib on fib. So we had the bottom right there, 6644. We bought that up, and it came back up to this range here. So now two things we are looking for still, and this is what I posted in the Discord. This is the channel for the long. As long as it holds above the 100 right here, you're looking to get to this channel. That was the fib that we had used right here for the post and what we were talking about for the VIX. So right now the VIX is very strong, so the long moves are definitely not in favor for the whole part of the day, but these little bits and pieces here for first tag algo magnets did play out. So again, we got this here, 1 minute triple, 1618, right? Back test, almost tag, pretty much tag, intra-tick tag, target hit. And that was the GP right here that we were watching earlier today. That scam shied here, cycled to the 2618, return to the GP. Okay. Thank you, triple 1 minute. Thank you, triple 1 minute. So both of those played in between each other, and it's still playing out in our favor. Now, the one thing that longs are kind of holding on to right now for the day is the VIX. So if I bring the VIX over here, this is what we had seen for yesterday in the remainder. And we said, yep, if it does not get under that 100 EMA, you cannot go long in the market. So if the VIX defends the 100 EMA, as we had noted yesterday, you cannot enter long positions, especially for that last one we were looking for, right? So hit, and all the way almost shine the target. Now we had a very nice move there. So as we move into the daily chart, you're going to see exactly where that is, the GP, and that's what we hit this morning for our target. So that's why that short worked out that we just went over in the beginning of the video. So this right here is all dedicated to that VIX tap right there. So now we are in a long bias temporary move till open. We have about 11 minutes till the pre, and what's going to happen here is the VIX hopefully stays under 24, which we did tap into that daily GP right here that we had for a VIX target. We hit 23.91. That's when the longs, I said, yeah, you're good to go for the longs. That's where it bounced, literally right into here, 6:55 a.m. That's why the VIX, especially when it's 23.24, is the only indicator that you should be watching. That fear is so high that the downside is so easily washed. So now, if we're looking at the day, we're on the 5-minute chart. You look over, the 100 EMA is not hit. Does it have to hit the 100 EMA? No. If the VIX is so high like this, we still have the 50, which is the halfway point up here in your 24.25 to get into. And could it move? Sure. But right now, this is a good opportunity to watch for that 100 EMA to be clicked, because for the trade day start, we have this little gap up. It opened up a smidge over yesterday's highs, consolidated for a ripski into the target over those highs. Now you're looking for a pullback to the 100 EMA before it wants to make that attempt up. So right now, our long and short bias moves for the open are going to be developed off that volatility index at the open, see which way it wants to gap and move, and they will go from there. What we have right here for the remainder are just these two fibs, because we hit our GP, so we don't have to hold anything. Now it can range all the way back down to this GP. So you reverse that long move that we had called here, put it to the red side, and then we'll see you down at this potential GP under the 100, like so. So this is going to be when the VIX bounces, or when the VIX confirms its hold and break above into 24 and plus. Now, right now, it's obviously at a decision-making zone. It's not very healthy right now either which way. If we move back into now the SPY chart, we'll see the same exact fibs that we had played today here in that 15-minute lower. And we said yesterday's lows, which is this dashed blue line, is going to be a big deciding factor for the day. I think we have a lot more weakness because we ended up not getting our push off yesterday, and a couple different catalysts, as we said, were going to be utilized. So we had this candle yesterday, and we said, yeah, if it holds above the 100 EMA and above the 1618, that is where your catalyst long would manifest. If it breaks back down, we were going for the GP that we scam shied on Qs, right? So we had to come back down to that 5-minute. Also did it on the SPY, and we hit those, obviously setting a new low to lower high move. So you never confirmed strength of any kind. All you did was get a shy from the 100 EMA, a new low, a lower high, and confirmed yourself a short trend. Obviously, the VIX was above the 100 EMA, as we said, needed to break if you wanted to go long at all, and that is why we came back down. If we take that opening 5-minute range and we put it to the downside, and we like to do either which way, whatever breaks, top or bottom, you'll see where that bounce was for the end of the day, and a beautiful target system for lows. So again, just a single 5-minute opening candle like we always like to do on the fibs. Comes up, can't hold, breaks inside the candle range. Anything under that GP is super dangerous to the downside. What did you get? Very clear-cut confirmation. Down, broke the GP, back tested the GP, confirmation of weakness, and best short target 3618. What do we look for there? Pop to the 2618 scalp. Every single system we use on fibs and confirmation worked out perfect to the downside. Now for the remainder of the day, it's yesterday's lows over under. My assumption is we're going to tag yesterday's lows, but right now with the VIX so high, and if it pushes over that 23.24, we will set new lows, and we're going to look for a couple low targets here on the daily, because we don't have a whole lot. Because when we look to our left, we did take out these GPs back here. So we have nothing except for that huge cluster from the 10-10 dump, and that's a huge consolidation period. So when we start looking to the left, we don't have any other real GPs until we start launching ourselves down. We talked a lot about that 100 EMA magnet in many videos in the past to see when this is going to break down and go. Well, we got a lot of daily higher lows to get under before that happens. Obviously, this sweep candle right here, the one that we use the GP on 11.7, is going to be an area of effect, 66125. Once that cracks, it has an opportunity to come down and test some of these other ranges. So we'll watch that first, and then we're going to start watching prior dojis on the daily. So we got a couple dojis right there. This zone would be of interest to me just for those pinned daily dojis at 912 and 925. On the intraday chart, you're not going to see too many points to the downside with that, but a break of that white level, that is obviously the lows, could maintain you that. If it wants to jump back up a little further, that's perfectly fine. We are going to use, as always, our golden high-low Fibonacci for the day, and we're going to make that to the downside. there. So those are our best case scenarios. Now, if it holds above that yesterday's lows and 66125 white level we just made, it has an attempt for the GP. Do I think that's going to happen today? Not really. I think it's going to be a continuation to that downside because the VIX is just so present today. It doesn't have to be at 100 EMA. Plus, we're way over 21. We're talking about anything over 21 being extremely dangerous, right to 24, 25 yesterday, and we are already up here. So I think even in this opening drive, if it loses that yesterday's lows, it's down. So I think the breaks down this way, pre-market low, snapping around right here, hitting yesterday's lows, continuing down. We do have our 2 targets down here, which I would like to see. A T1 zone here, T2 down here for those shorts, and I'll just be watching those bigger markers. Now, when you go to longer standing time frames on 15-minute, look to your left. We had talked about this on the futures. I'll show you on SPY for the ETF because it is pre. But these big 30-minute candles here, we had a couple open GPs that were not claimed either. So if you zoom in really close here, we're talking about these big breakups. And if you look, never actually tested, right? Like it made it, tested it, left this big open gap, left this big open gap. That's down in the 657.75s. So if you're looking right here, where that comes in, that's the doji dailies that we have put in. And on the 30-minute chart, we did leave some stuff open exactly where those dojis are. And of course, we have that monster. Go to the ES chart. Interesting algo down here as well. So if we back that up, here's what it looks like on the ES. This is that level we're talking about right here. Never tapped in. So that's where we're going to be watching on that huge fair value gap where there's a couple above here. Draw tool, just third time's a charm. Here we go. And here. So those 2 30 minutes would be on deck for that continuation lower. If you do look to your left, you do got one of those big supports right here that we had obviously swept out yesterday, popped, and today we keep chopping and breaking. This would be an extra confirmation level for me right here, looking for under 6655.45 continuation. It's going to make some decisions there. We got yesterday's lows, we got 6655, and then that's where I see that break coming in. Then of course, once you look to that left right there, this fair value gap tap, that's the tap. There's the inside for the first bouncy bounce, right? And we do have ones lower. That's number 1. Shied it already today. Tapped in. Again, push, lower high. Now waiting for direction at yesterday's lows. So these are going to be a couple key points of levels just to watch. I'm going to focus on the SPY here because remember, the SPY live tags these 30s. The futures don't matter nearly as much because the double doji targets we have down here that we're talking about on the 30-minute was hit right here. We still have these open for live. That was pre-market. These, however, we're not too worried about on the 30. We just want to see that 661.25 drop. So those are going to be our targets. If we do get that nice clean move. And again, I'm not overly looking for anything super big today. We got a nice couple greens here already. So to keep on the gamble range or keep on keeping on and just clicking buttons, we want some extra confirmation. We don't want to hurt any of those greens. So that is that.